Welcome back, party people. You are listening to Crossplay, our video game podcast here at the Whatnauts. It is Saturday, February 13th, 2021, and coming up on today's show, we will be talking about what E3 2021 might look like. Ubisoft is planning to move away from a reliance on AAA video games, and we finally have a release date for Ratchet Clank: A Rift Apart. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Gino Viteri.
What's up, guys? You guys can't see it, but we're doing video now, and I shaved the sides of my head.
Oh,
so,
snap.
I look like a really cool samurai.
Looking sexy. You know what I mean? There you go.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
And Ignacio Rojas.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, my dude. How about you? What's your week been like?
I've had a lot of work.
A lot of work. Was school starting back up or something?
No, school starts, I think, second week of March, somewhere around there. No, I talked about it last week. I'm doing an internship because it's required by my curriculum. And the thing is that up until now, it had been pretty chill since we're doing work from home stuff. Mm-hmm. The thing has only been like, at the end of the day, what we have to do is that there is a daily report about certain stuff. And our job is to make it better, modernize it. And so up until now, what we've had to do has been schedule meetings with the people that are going to use the thing and do the meetings and write down their feedback. And so right now we're into the part where we have to actually create the thing. And the problem is that what I have to do has nothing to do with my career.
Yeah.
I've had to
kind of how internships work, right? They just like, let's start you at the bottom.
Yeah.
I no, it's not that. I'm an electrical engineer and I know coding because that was a thing that I chose that the school let us do. But I've had to learn a new language of coding. I've had to learn how to use databases and Microsoft Power BI and stuff like that. And that's something that's not a part of what my career is. That's something that a computer engineer would do. And so that's been the stressful part of what I've had to do because I don't know what I'm doing.
I feel you on that. I've had to do stuff for work that's like, hey, we need some help with this thing. Can you help? And I'm just like, yeah, sure, it's fine. And then they send me the work, and I'm just like, oh shit. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is a completely different language. I can make things look pretty. Like I'm an artist. Like I don't know how to do this stuff. But
hey, you can fake it till you make it, man. Fake it till you make it. That's how you do it.
But see, that's the thing. I'm not trying to make it with that stuff.
You already made it.
That's it. Just stop there. I'm not trying to make it.
I'm not trying to make it. Gino, this past week, you were on 2 interviews with us here. Yeah. So you did one with me and Joe Mirabello.
Yes.
We got to interview him. He was the developer of 3 out of 10. What was that like?
It was awesome. I definitely learned a lot from him. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out because it was super interesting to get his take on everything, being directly from the developer itself. It's cool to get an understanding of that whole industry, and the fact that it was like an hour before we started the interview that I found out that he worked on Kingdoms of Amalur, which is one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah,
that was so cool, and I wish we could have asked him more about it, but maybe one day.
Yeah,
maybe one day, indeed. Yeah,
that story for sure is interesting.
Yeah,
it's a whole can of worms. We could basically sit here for 2 hours and just crack the surface on that. But then you got to sit down with Michael Hyam from GameSpot.
Yeah, man. I got to chop it up with him, like he says. That's a saying. That's a saying. Apparently, I learned that people in California say a lot. Chop it up. I didn't know that before.
Heard that, yeah.
Yeah, I had not heard
it.
I
don't know if it's exclusively.
Oh, I don't know.
Cali, but
yeah, I got to chop it up with Michael Hyam from GameSpot. It was super nice to talk about. I said this on my tweet. It was really nice to talk about something I really love with somebody else that loves it as well. And it, like, I've thought about it before when I've seen Michael write about Final Fantasy. He puts into words the way that I feel, and like into words that I can't, So that's why I guess I don't want to say enamored, but that's why I became a fan of him, because he perfectly conveys exactly how I feel about that game. So it was nice to see that, and it was awesome to talk to him, and I hope to do it again soon as well.
There you go.
Really cool guy. Really cool guy.
That was fun. Yeah, that was not really the first thing that I've gotten to just like sit back and record on, but it was, I think, the first thing that worked out perfectly, if that makes sense. Because I've tested it out with Melissa on the review show and stuff like that. Where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna take a back seat on this one and do all of that stuff. But man, it's fun to just be like, for 5 years I've been on everything for the Whatnauts, and this one I just get to sit back and do nothing. This is great.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It was good.
It was great.
Indeed.
It was awesome. It was very fun.
Yeah. You guys might notice that Alan is not here. It is Valentine's Day, and he is the only one that is doing something for Valentine's Day, or what's Valentine's Day weekend.
Yes,
but we're all sitting here still on the podcast. Our true love, video games.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So look at Alan being a nice guy.
Yeah. So let's talk video games then. What have you guys been playing? Gino, let's start with you.
So I've been playing Little Nightmares. It came out this past Thursday. And I don't know if you guys played through the first one. I played through the first one when it came out. Super fun game. These games are so interesting in the way they tell their story and the way they just unsettle you to no end. It's not horror. It's unsettling. But it's so unsettling that it becomes horrific in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And Little Nightmares did that so well, but this one, for some reason, I thought this game was also co-op. I thought they advertised it like that, but apparently it's not. And I was very sad to discover that because I was going to play it with one of my friends, but whatever. We just played it at the same time, pretty much. It has so this one, in the first Little Nightmares, you play as one character that returns in this one. But you play as two separate characters in this one that are partners of each other in a way. So there's different mechanics when it comes to the puzzles this time, because you have two people to play around with. Yeah. And your partner AI it's so interesting because they're not dumb. They do a lot of stuff that you would need a human AI, a human person as a co-op partner to do. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, there was one specific part in the game, obviously no spoilers, but there was one specific part in the game where I needed, I guess, an enemy or whatever. They were distracted with something, but if they saw me, they were going to kill me. There was no way I could defend myself. So my partner, being on the other side of the door, started hopping on a piano to make a bunch of noise. The enemy would be attracted to them. And I never told them to do that. I never did anything. I didn't think they would do that. I thought it was so cool, so I could do my thing to get past that part. But this game is so incredible in the way it creeps you out with the music. I have a picture that I'll show you guys. The way that the camera, so it's like a side scroller game, but with 3D maps in a way, so you can go,
2.5
2.5D. It's like a 2.5D game. And how do I describe the map design is so interesting and so cool how expansive they make this world look when you're not inside of a building. But then when you go inside, let's say you're inside a school or a hospital, it's so dark, but you see everything still. And it's so bloody and creepy and interesting.
Yeah.
It's such an awesome game. Like, I really can't play horror games. Like, I love horror games, but I get, like, I freeze when I play them. I have to pause and I can't, like, continue. But for this one specifically, man, I just want to see what I'm going to go up against next, or what I'm going to do, or how do I figure this out, you know? It's so cool. And the music, man, there's something about the way the music in that game works. It has like this piano score that it reminds me of Interstellar. If you guys saw Interstellar, the way the music comes in super loud and then goes back down really low, but you still hear it. And it has that in the game, throughout the game, in certain parts. And then there's other parts where it's absolute silence and it's just darkness, and you have your little flashlight on that you have to use for certain monsters or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
But I've played through the first 2 levels. I don't know how long it is. I think it's like 4 hours long. And
that's not bad at all.
This one's a lot more action oriented than the second one, but not in like the way you think, where like, now I have a weapon and I'm gonna kill people. Like, no, it's not like that. It's where this one you actually
this is my nightmare. You're trapped in here with me.
And this one you actually like. You actually do pick up stuff to defend yourself, but only when it's necessary to do so. So, in literally the first part of the game, you're being chased by a guy with a shotgun, and then you are running away from him because you obviously can't defend yourself with that. So you're hiding, you're running away until you get to until you get to a small shed where you have where you find another shotgun, and your characters are like miniature people compared to everyone here. I think everyone's a giant, or either you're small. I don't know which one it is.
Maybe a mix of both.
So you and your partner get this shotgun, and then the way you pick it up, like the both of you pick it up together because it's so big, and then you shoot the heck out of that. Like, the way you shoot them, it's so freaking satisfying that you just ran through this whole level running away from this guy, and then eventually you get that last weapon there at the end and just shoot him right in the face and blow his head out, and then you keep going, and that's it. It's like, it's so intense. It's such a good. You guys definitely gotta play this. You gotta try this game.
The thing with Little Nightmares has always, for me, been a game that you would see if you scroll through the PlayStation Store. Mm-hmm. You just scroll there and you would see, oh, Little Nightmares is there. I never knew that a lot of people actually like that game.
Yeah.
It's pretty well received. I know a lot of people compare it to Playdead's games like Inside and Limbo.
Yeah.
It's like that same style and that same creepiness.
Yeah, that's why I chose it in my fantasy draft, because I was confident this game was gonna do well, because the first one was so incredible. So this one, obviously, they made a second one because of that one, the success of that one.
Yeah.
So and they've done so much better with this one too.
I got to watch Khalif from Spawn on Me stream it some, so I saw the first like 2 hours maybe, first ish, and yeah, it looks beautiful. It looks great. So stuff.
The other side of that is that watching it doesn't feel as intense as playing it. That's really one of those things where you need to be in control, and then you really feel it. Because also it uses the DualSense, and the way it vibrates and stuff like that, it uses that. So
that's awesome.
It's really cool.
Nice.
But yeah,
I think Kyle should play it.
You should, Kyle. You definitely should.
I've been interested in the first one. I've like had it on my list of like, I missed that one and I need to go back and play that one. Like, because that is like the level of horror game that I can do, right? Whereas stuff like Resident
Evil?
I'm just like, no, thank you. I don't like this stuff,
man. Those are different.
They are different.
You also don't need to play the first one. Yeah, not that you thought of it like that, but you don't need to play the first one to play the second one too.
Okay,
so,
good to know.
Yeah,
Good
So
to know,
try it out
indeed.
for sure, man.
Speaking of horror games, I've played a little bit more of The Medium.
Oh, are you
How's that?
enjoying it more now?
A little bit, actually. I got to a point in the story that I was like, ooh, okay, this is interesting. I like this. And yeah, from what the kind of funny crew said on the X cast, it was get to the wheelchair moment. And once you get there, then if you're still not liking it, then you can move on. But I was a little bit confused. I think that's a bad way to put it. Get to the wheelchair moment, because there's like 2 or 3 wheelchair moments.
Interesting.
But then
I'm sure there's a wheelchair moment, because
one that you get to that you're like, oh, that's the one. Like there's no mistaking it that is the one, and I just got to that one.
Yeah, because when we were playing it, or you were playing it, I was looking at your gameplay. There was a wheelchair at one point, and you said,
I was sitting there, like, is this the wheelchair moment? I was like, this is lame.
No, God, that's just a wheelchair.
It's a wheelchair.
Just
in
a
the
wheelchair
moment right now, Ignacio.
Just a wheelchair, Carl.
That's it.
Yeah.
Cool, but so you got past the wheelchair moment then?
Yes, like just past it. I'm more interested. I think the story has deepened, and it's been like, okay, this is interesting. I want to see where this goes. But I'm still not a fan of the controls. Still not a fan of just like how it feels and moves and stuff like that. You'll be walking in a certain direction, and then the camera changes, and then all of a sudden your character's like, I'm gonna walk into a wall. It's just like, no, like go that way, and it just doesn't really respond all that well. So it's just
tank controls are super weird for that game. It's interesting that they brought controls like that back.
Like it works for that specific style of horror, and I think they do it well. It's just I feel like it's more so a symptom of that style. Like it's not that the developers don't know how to make a character that like walks around well, or it feels good to move, but they had to make something within these certain bounds, right? And it's like, here's what we did with that. It's just like, well, not for me, but
the tank movement from the game it's clearly meant to heighten in a way the horror aspect of it, because you have in a certain way a reduced movement, which but then with the horror elements will add to the, I don't know, you are weaker or underprepared for this situation in a way. And I think a game, for example, like the Resident Evil games, for the most part, they did it well, but still it can get in the way of enjoyment and in the way of the gameplay sometimes. And I think that while it can work, I don't think it's a good call all the time to use it for horror.
Agreed. There was one moment specifically, actually, it was the spot like right where we stopped in that stream, and there's this monster chasing you, and it changes to like you're running at the camera for a little bit there, and it feels like Prince of Persia 2, The Warrior Within, when you're running from the Dahaka. But then it eventually changes, so the camera's behind you, but it gets to a scene where the monster that you thought was behind you is now in front of you again. And I kept getting to that spot, and it was like, hit this certain button to defend yourself and do this certain attack. And I was like, okay, I am hitting that button and nothing is happening. And I don't have the energy to like do the attack. And I don't think at that point in the game you're really supposed to. I'm not sure. Maybe there is a spot where you can get some, but I like got stuck on that. I was like, I'm literally hitting this button. Why? Come on, do something. And I just ended up finding out that if I just went a little bit to one side, you could dodge them. was just like,
Oh,
There you go.
okay, well, there you go. That's what I had to do. I spent like 10 minutes trying to figure out how to attack this guy when all I could do was just run around him.
yeah.
So,
It is interesting to me that you're sticking with it, because I don't think that last time you were that high into it. I thought that you might have
I'm
stopped.
really not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there's also not much else that's out right now, so just like I'll
Sure.
stick with this. So
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I fell off of it. It wasn't too great to me.
yeah. Last but not least, I've been playing Spider-Man from 2018. I've been replaying that with my girlfriend.
Oh, are you playing the remastered version? Then?
Remastered, yes. I've been playing that on the PlayStation 5. We just wrapped it up. We just beat the game and the DLC on that, so we're about to hop back into Miles Morales next.
Nice.
After that, and I'm excited for that. So
Still good?
there you go. It's still wonderful. It's still a great game. It's
Nice.
Spider-Man 2018 is so good.
Yeah, it is.
It's so much fun to play.
Yeah, it really is. But that's it. That's all I've been playing. So, Ignacio, what about you?
Well, I've been playing a game that I said last week I was looking forward to, which is Super Mario 3D World. Specifically, of course, the port on the Switch. I haven't been playing it on the Wii. I
have a question before you get started.
Go for it.
Is this one going to be eligible for our Game of the Year discussions at the end?
Oh, that's a good question, because Mario 3D World isn't just Mario 3D World. It also includes
the expansion
Bowser's Fury. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so Bowser's Fury isn't actually the part of the game, and I don't know if I would call it an expansion. I would call it more of a separate thing, because Bowser's Fury is basically, it's when you start the game, you have the option of playing in 3D World or Bowser's Fury, and Bowser's Fury is you are in this open field, let's call it. I would say probably more open than the levels of Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
You have all these different sections that you go through. It's basically, it gives me a lot of Super Mario Sunshine vibes, in that there's sand everywhere, and it has more of a tropical vibe, or not necessarily tropical, but beach vibe. But you have all these different places on the map that you can go to, and there are these lighthouses that you go. And so each area you have to, it's kind of like if each area were a more open version of a level of 3D World, where you have to get to the lighthouse so that you get the shine, which then, if you get a certain amount of shines, you start expanding the whole place. It's different from 3D World, but it still uses the controls of 3D World, and it still uses the power-ups of 3D World. But it isn't 3D World.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So probably not eligible.
So it's just like its own game.
I don't think it would be eligible, because still the biggest part of it is still 3D World.
Mm-hmm.
But it's 3D World, and as a bonus, they gave you this, what I will call maybe a proof of concept for maybe something else, but still using the same controls and maybe the same engine as 3D World.
I gotcha.
But it isn't 3D World. That's the thing. It is separate from it. 3D World, I had never played it before. It's a game that I have been wanting to play for a long time, but because, of course, it was stuck in a failing and doomed console, I never got to play it. And so now I'm playing it, and having played 3D Land for the 3DS, it really feels like a 3D Land game, or feels like a 3D Land game, but for a console, if that makes sense. It's bigger, it's wider, it's more polished, it's visually better, but still at its core, it's the same idea. It's a cross between a 2D Mario game and a 3D Mario game. It's a 2D Mario game, but in 3D, basically.
I gotcha.
And more than that, I don't know what else can I say. I'm still in the first world, and still it is the same fun that you would find on a new Super Mario Brothers game, for example. And then going more into what Bowser's Fury is, the story in it is that you somehow get sent to this, like I said, like a beach setting, like this open area beach place, and there you find that everything is covered in goo, similar to Mario Sunshine. Again, it gives me a lot of Sunshine vibes. And you find there Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. tells you, "Hey, my dad has gone crazy. He's consumed by this goo, and he's giant now. And so, please help me, and let's clean away all of this goo." And by that, we again go to the lighthouses. We get shines from it, and the shines power the lighthouses. Once you get, at least for the first time, if you get 5 shines, you can unlock the this whole temple.
Okay.
Which is connected to this other mechanic of the game where randomly it seems like Bowser will wake up and basically the whole tone of the thing will change. Like it's all sunny, but now it's all dark. There is this, instead of the regular music, it's more of a heavy metal music.
Like the Zelda Blood Moon thing, right? Mm-hmm. Where like every so often it just is like, uh-oh, shit, like bad stuff is about to happen.
And then Bowser starts raining in some meteors. He sometimes will shoot fire at you. The enemies will now become different. For example, the piranha plants will now become darker piranha plants, for example. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a cool mechanic. And then if you get the 5 shines, you can unlock these, like, I'll describe it as a cat shrine, in a way to put it. And if you go there, you become this giant Mario Cat Super Saiyan Kaiju. And you have a Kaiju battle with Bowser. Basically.
That's kind of neat, though.
Yeah, it sounds
cool. It is cool. It is pretty cool. And then if you beat him, it will just unlock a new area of the place. Which, again, it's still all one whole area, but goo will be cleaned from this one part, so now you'll be able to explore more of the level. Yeah. But then Bowser is not dead, he'll still come back. And that's where I'm at with Bowser's Fury.
I'm imagining like a new 3D Mario game where that is one of the mechanics where you can like turn into like a giant kaiju Yoshi or something, but then to just like be stomping around in like Mario worlds and stuff with that and just being like
and the actual cool thing about it is that it feels kaiju because you're still in the same level. It is still the same. It's not like the thing gets all flat. You still get to stomp into all the places that you've been to, but you're giant now. But you're a giant cat Super Saiyan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nintendo's so weird with their stuff. It's like, okay,
Nintendo
what
is so
if
weird.
Mario, but he's a cat? A giant cat.
The weird thing about 3D World is that they go so hard on him. What if Mario were a cat? So that Cat Mario is such a big part of it. And also when you beat a level as Cat Mario, instead of the regular wahoo, whatever, he'll say meow.
Oh my god.
It's so weird.
Mario meowing.
Yeah, it's so weird. But yeah, that's wild. Pretty much it. It's the fun that you will expect from a Mario game.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Good stuff. Let's get on to
one last shout out that I want to give. Other than that, since I have my new PC, I've been trying to play more PC games. And so what I did was I got...
Yeah, good.
I don't know if this has Minesweeper. But no, I got the Game Pass Ultimate, and I wanted to give it a shout out because it was such a good deal where it was 1 month of Game Pass Ultimate for less than $1, and they gave me 2 extra months for free.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So good.
And so I just wanted to give it a shout out that's a good deal for those of you that haven't gotten it.
Indeed, you guys can go play the Medium or all the Yakuza games or something.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of good stuff on there.
Doom Eternal, which I have been playing for a bit.
Cool.
All right. Well, let's get on to housekeeping. Again, why does this thing not the?
Yeah, press it multiple times.
I apparently I do. All right. Here we go. On to housekeeping starts now. Still no. Okay. Wonderful.
Nope.
Thanks. OBS. You're great.
There you go.
We're just going to act like it happened and move right along. If you guys did not know, we have multiple podcasts here at the Whatnauts. You guys can find out more information on our website, which is thewhatnauts.com. As well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. Just type in the Whatnauts and all of our shows will pop up right there. If you like what we do, patreon.com/the Whatnauts is where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. We have a $3 tier where you guys can get all kinds of exclusive content for all of our shows. We recently put up our 2021 video game fantasy draft, which we will be returning to throughout the year so we can keep track of scores and bid on newly announced games and such. So yeah, be on the lookout for stuff like that, as well as a few other things down the road. Big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier. So thank you so much, Sam, for helping us out, keeping the mics on, keeping the lights on. It helps out a ton more than you know. So thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. And also thank you, Sam, for jumping on the live streams that we do. Yeah,
that too. Thank you for joining us there as well. Speaking of live streams, we have a Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/the Whatnauts. And if you guys want to support us on Twitch, you can do that there as well. I believe a tier 1 subscription is about $4.99 a month. However, if you have Amazon Prime, you also have Twitch Prime. All you have to do is link your accounts, which is super simple, and then you can give away a free subscription to your streamer of choice. We would love that to be us here at the Whatnauts, because that is free money for us. You don't have to pay an extra cent if you already have Amazon Prime, and yeah, we would love that a lot. So that's it for housekeeping. Let's see if my thing will work for the news. Nope. Can't hear it if it's playing. I don't even think it's like coming up on this thing. You know what? Let's see. Oh, you know what? There it is. Oh. Fuck me. That's how it works.
All right.
Have to
do it.
Okay.
Hit the thing. All right. So here's. That's not how it works. Don't do that.
We've been doing this for a while now, and just now you're figuring out how it works.
All right. Are you gonna do it?
Let's get on to the news.
All right. Number 1, my friends. E3 2021 reportedly going all digital in June. More details obviously coming soon. This is from Andy Robinson over at Video Games Chronicle. According to E3 2021 pitch documents sent to games publishers and seen by VGC, the ESA has now outlined its proposals for this year's event, which would see 3 days of live stream coverage held during the previously announced dates of June 15 through 17. The ESA's intention is to hold multiple 2-hour keynote sessions from games partners, an award show, a June 14 preview night, and other smaller streams from game publishers, influencers, and media partners. The broadcast event would be supplemented by media previews the week before, as well as demos released on consumer platforms according to the ESA's proposal. However, the E3 2021 plans still require the approval of ESA's membership, which is made up of the industry's biggest games companies and who have significant influence over the direction of the show. Ignacio, are you excited for this?
I'm excited if it does indeed end up happening, because I think that this is the best way for E3 to still happen. I do think that we need a way to, I don't know, focus our attention on game announcements as opposed to how it went last year with everyone did their own thing. And at a certain point, it just became, it's so much that I stopped caring about the announcements. Like,
that's true, yeah.
So many announcements, I didn't pay attention to them. So I still want want E3 to still be a thing. I don't want it to die, to go away, and I think that the ESA is trying to keep it alive for right now. Yeah. And I think that, again, this is a good way to do it. You would have keynotes, which is nice, Game Awards, which is something that we've started to see more and more places doing. And I think that E3 is a fitting place to do a Game Awards show. And I think that you didn't really hear, but the ESA is also planning on somehow live streaming or streaming game demos for people, or providing the way for developers to stream games to people in the press.
Cool.
Which I think it is a good way to circumvent the fact that we aren't able, or they aren't able to join and show them the game itself.
Another thing I want to bring up is that we also Jeff Keighley shared this, and someone asked him if he was still going to do the Summer Games Showcase, which he is, and he also said that he's going to make it a tighter show. Rather than have it throughout the entire summer, he wants to have it through, I think, two or 3 weeks. Bro. Yeah. So,
but
tighter is the word he used. I'm sorry to tell you. So,
but what does that mean? Summer Game Fest wasn't really much. It was at most a glorified Google Calendar, and yes, Jeff did have, I think, announcements in 3 instances. But other than that, it wasn't much. So I don't know how much tighter you can make it.
I think he means tighter in terms of time frame. Like we said, like it lasted the whole summer last year. Yeah. It happened on what felt like multiple months, right? Whereas if we can condense that into like, hey, here's a 2-week period where all of that stuff happens, that's great. And I think the same thing goes for E3. That's ultimately what E3 is. It's this umbrella where all these announcements happen. Like, you know, you might get a Ubisoft thing, you might get a Sony thing, you might get some, but it's just this like branding for the time in which these announcements come out.
Yeah.
But unless he gets people on board with Summer Game Fest, there's he can say that Summer Game Fest is gonna last a week, a month, and still it wouldn't have made a difference last year, because again, at most, it was a glorified Google Calendar. No, out of all of the events that we saw last year throughout all the months, all of the summer months, I don't know, a couple maybe said that they, or mentioned Summer Game Fest, but still, I don't feel that Summer Game Fest had any influence on them. So Jeff Keighley coming out and saying, hey, Summer Game Fest will be only in the month of June, I don't know if that will have any impact on what we will actually see, unless he can bring people together and say, hey, we are going to do this under the Summer Game Fest umbrella. Unless he can have people be on board, I don't know if that will be any different.
I think you have to keep in mind that last year was the first year he did that, and it was after he left the E3 stuff. So what he worked with what he could do, and I think he made something neat. He's on the right idea, he's just not there yet. And I think E3 is also in the same boat of like, they're working towards it, but they're not there yet.
Yeah, and the thing is also, if there's anybody that can get people on board, it is Jeff Keighley. So you have to think about Summer Games Fest as a complement to E3 as well. It's not that he's taking announcements away from E3 or anything, but he might be as an event itself. Summer Games Fest can add on to the announcements we see at E3. Aside from that, I would like to see E3 come back in some form. I have that sadness of not having been able to ever go to an E3, and now
me too.
Thinking that I never will. So that's unfortunate, but I would still like to see the spirit of it, which is what Jeff Keighley tried to do last year. He tried to keep that spirit of E3. That's what he said when he announced the Summer Games Fest was happening. He wanted to keep that sort of that excitement that we get around the summer about new games announcements and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he just like the Game Awards, he refines every year with what he does. So that'll be exciting to see what happens this year.
Yeah. We'll see if it even happens, because like you said, it is still up to the ESA to approve this measure.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that's playing against them that we didn't put here, I don't think, that it is still gonna be very expensive to have games on E3 this year. Like here it says that it is a 6-figure sum. Jeez. And from what I've heard, it isn't a low 6-figure, it's a high 6-figure. And so how many people will actually be on board on paying that much to be on E3 when we saw that anyone can put up anything at any time by themselves?
Yeah, that's true.
Now, will Ubisoft, will EA, will any of the console manufacturers be on board on that when they know that they can do it by themselves easily? Even Devolver Digital could do their own thing.
Yeah,
again,
they'll have to lower their prices, I think, because I know it was these kind of prices when they were physical events. So if most of that money is going towards floor space and preparing some kind of like station or interactive thing, right? What are you paying for now except for here's my video? Right? And
just to have the name E3 in there, and I don't know, have the E3 page redirect to you. That's what you're paying for, the E3 branding. But I don't know
E3
who has
is worth a 6-figure thing to get your video in there when Jeff Keighley is right down the street.
It could work. It could work in Jeff's favor, but I don't know who has the money to pay it that wouldn't do it by themselves.
Sure, yeah.
All right, my friends, let's move on here. Number 2, 6 Days in Fallujah is back from the dead. It is set to release this year. This comes from Wesley Yinpool at Eurogamer. In April 2009, Iraq war game 6 Days in Fallujah was dropped by Konami due to all the negative feedback received. Quote, after seeing the reaction to the video game in the United States and hearing opinions sent through phone calls and email, we decided several days ago not to sell it, a Konami spokesperson said at the time. Quote, we had intended to convey the reality of the battles to players so that they could feel what it was like to be there, end quote. Now, 11 years later, 6 Days in Fallujah is back as a tactical military shooter based on the real-world events in development by former Halo and Destiny makers. When it was announced, the note to press stresses that the developers are working with frontline Marines and soldiers who fought in the battle for Fallujah, with over 100 Marines, soldiers, and Iraqi civilians who were present sharing their stories, photos, and recordings. The game will include original documentary interview footage. So when this story broke, I had never heard of 6 Days of Fallujah. I didn't know about that story before. But now I did some research on it, and I had also never heard of the Battle of Fallujah either. So I will admit that. But this brought up a question for me that I want to ask you guys. Ask you guys.
Okay.
So why is the conversation much less volatile when we see movies based off of real world events? such as like you guys see Songbird right now, which is that movie with KJ Apa that is literally based on coronavirus. We're still in coronavirus. So that movie's coming out. People are enjoying it. People are seeing it. But when it comes to video games that try to be educational, such as this one that they announced it, I think, let me pull out from when they also announced it, former Marine Sergeant Eddie Garcia said, "Sometimes the only way to understand what's true is to experience reality for yourself." That's what he said.
Okay.
Oh no. Okay, that goes against why that should be coming out. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, why, if these games are trying to show us these real world events, and not in a way to offend people or anything like that, but trying to educate people the way movies do. Mm-hmm. Why is the conversation around movies much less volatile than it is with video games? Do you guys think? What do you think, Kyle?
I think for me, it's the interactiveness of it, right? Like, it's the same thing for horror games and horror movies. You can watch a horror movie and hide behind a pillow or something, right? So you don't actually see what's happening, and the plot continues without you. And so you can just skip that part. Whereas in a game, it won't continue unless you push forward on the controller or hit that button. Maybe minor spoilers here for The Last of Us Part 2, but there were some things that the characters were doing in that game that I did not want them to do. And just that story was driving you to, like, well, you still have to hit that button. You know, and it just like, fuck, I don't want to do this. Don't do this. No. And like, I think that's a very different thing than just watching a movie. And I think it's also partly an investment too, right? Like, I can go rent a movie for $4 on Amazon, and if I don't like it, it's like, it's $4. But if I pay $60 or $70 for a video game and I don't like it, it's just like, God damn it, now I'm out $60.
Yeah, the gears are turning in my head thinking about this whole thing, because I think about it as if, like, video games in the general population are probably to people that, like, not like us that keep up with all this stuff. But video games are targeted more towards children, generally to people, the way people think about it. So I don't know if they think that these kinds of games, when it comes to comparing rated R movies to mature games, you're seeing a lot younger kids playing mature games than you would see them watching a rated R movie when it comes to their parents, So, I feel like they think, and I'm saying they as in a general population, the reactionary people that got this game canceled in a way. You could think that it influences children in a certain way that movies might not,
Sure.
I'm just thinking, I don't know. I'm trying to understand why it's like that.
I think there's also an inherent violence within video games, and that's not to say that I think, you play video games, you're gonna be a violent person. I don't think that.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm thinking either. I'm just thinking, like,
I think even in stuff like Mario, which is legitimately a kids game. It's a very, very, very good one. But you still have to jump on top of the excuse me, cannot speak. You still have to jump on top of the enemies, right?
Yeah.
Like, you still have to do that or hit them with a fire flower. You're still harming them in some way. Like, there's a lot less video games where you aren't doing something violent in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're out there, but yeah, it's just, I think it's not to say that we can't do stuff like this. It's just that I think there might be a bigger period of like, we should let this one sit and like be history for a little while.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not even sure, but yes.
Kyle, I think you were right when you were talking about how the fact that you are the one controlling it, then that brings more of the criticisms about how it's you actually perpetrating, whereas with a movie it's more of a passive activity. Games are an active activity. I also think that it has to do with the fact that video games have a stigma, not necessarily in the industry, but people outside of video games has a stigma of being more childish, being a game.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it isn't in the name, but being more of a game where we know that video games are so much more. We've seen games like The Last of Us, for example, how it tackled certain things, and I think in a way that are even better than a movie. And so I think that stigma, and with the fact that you are an active participant there, people would see something like this and immediately jump to the conclusion of people playing it and shooting random civilians and I don't know, in a certain way, people thinking that by making a game out of something that happened, something like war, that in a way it is disrespectful.
Yeah.
I recommend people go watch it's a mini documentary that I watched yesterday by GVmers. It's gamers but with a V instead of an A. They had a video on it made like I think 3 years ago, talking about the game and what happened and how it was mainly mainstream people, I would say, that drove the game like to be dropped by Konami back in the day. Basically, Konami saw the game when it was being developed and they thought that they had something good there, but it wasn't until mainstream media and Fox News started talking about it and they started receiving calls. Konami themselves started receiving calls that they were forced to drop the game, and that's basically why we never saw the game come out.
Yeah,
I see.
Last thing I'll say on this, well, I want to put that. Never mind. I will bow out on that one. I completely forgot what I was gonna say. So
I never thought I would see 6 Days in Fallujah to come back, because out of us 4, I was the only one apparently who knew about the game, and I knew about the game because I have heard old podcast Beyonds where the game came out in or was talked about in 2009, and in old podcast Beyonds they would talk about 6 Days in Fallujah as this controversial thing that ended up getting canceled and never coming out, and what it would have been if it were to come out. So it was so weird for me seeing 6 Days in Fallujah come or be announced now in 2021, because it was I thought that it was left there back in 2009. For time to forget it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I remembered what I was about to say.
Okay.
I, as an artist myself, I want art that does challenge people, right, and make them think, make them be uncomfortable, to experience new situations and stuff. And so I think art like this, especially video games, because it's such a good medium for it, can teach you stuff, right? Can take this real event that happened and put you in the shoes of those soldiers and make you feel disgusting, right? And like make you feel like ugh, I don't like what I just did there, right? Like it can challenge you and your perceptions on that event or something else. I think it's just extra tough when it is a real world event, right? The difference between this and The Last of Us 2 is that The Last of Us 2 characters are all made up, like they're fake, that never happened, right? And so it's much easier for me to get through that despite being uncomfortable with what's happening. Whereas if it is a real life event, it's just like, ooh, this is a little too close to home.
Yeah.
But still, sorry, Gina, you were going to say
I just wanted to talk about that. The Last of Us specifically, that the interesting thing about these things is that we could think about when it comes to real life events is The Last of Us specifically, aside from being an incredible game, it also started a discussion outside of the game. Last of Us Part 2 specifically, a lot of people learned things when it came to the different topics that game tackled, because it's not just a zombie game, but this is a human game. You know, it's about people and what people would do in these kinds of circumstances. So to be able to play in the eyes of a soldier in those situations, it strikes a discussion amongst regular civilians like us. Now that we know, not physically know what it's like, but we understand what it's like, based off of seeing these things. And it's different because you are doing it interactively rather than just watching it. So it puts you in the shoes in a way that a movie can't. So you do learn more and you do feel more when it comes to that. Yeah. So it's all about games not being taken seriously as a medium as well.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
And Kyle, I agree with you saying that. I think that there is no topic that should be shied away from in things like movies and even video games. But I think that there are so many things here that are making people react the way that they're reacting. The fact that it was still something so recent, which was the Iraq War, which was still happening when the game came out or was talked about in 2009. The Iraq War was still going on, and even the Battle of Fallujah was not that many years before that. Whereas something like World War II or even the Vietnam War, it's something that's so far away from us now. And I think that that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that I know in the United States you have such a peculiar relationship with soldiers and with war.
Yeah.
And so one of the angles that I saw in the documentary, one of the things that was kept being brought up was this is being disrespectful to the troops, like in a way glorifying all the things is disrespectful. And that was one of the other things that I think one of the reasons that it got flagged from one of the sides. Also, the Iraq War, I know that it wasn't a justified war, and so then that's why the other side doesn't want it to be portrayed in that. And so I think that there are so many things coming up here from both sides of the aisle that see it wrong from two different sides, that I think that's one of the reasons that it was so controversial in 2009. And I think that now in 2021, most of the reaction is coming from people that were covering games back then, or were aware of video games back then and were watching news, that they remember all of that going on and they are bringing all of that back to now.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Interesting.
Good question, Gino.
Yeah. I mean, we could
put this in the news because I don't really know much about the Iraq War and all that stuff. I'd just be like, yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, no, I never heard of that battle, but
here you go.
I figured it was an interesting question to talk about. But yeah, let's move on to a story about games becoming even more realistic. Number 3. This comes from Epic Games. What is Epic Games MetaHuman? What is this? Okay. This comes from the site itself. Today, we revealed a first look at MetaHuman Creator, a new browser-based app that empowers game developers and creators of real-time 3D content to slash the time it takes to build digital humans from weeks or months to less than an hour, while maintaining the highest level of quality. MetaHuman Creator runs in the cloud via Unreal Engine pixel streaming, in addition to speeding up the complex process of digital human creation. It also enables teams of all shapes and sizes to more easily scale and make many types of characters to meet the demands of next-gen platforms and high-end virtual production. So here we have a quote from Vladimir Mastilovich, which is the VP Digital Humans Technology at Epic Games. He said, "Up until now, one of the most arduous tasks in 3D content creation has been constructing truly convincing digital humans. Even the most experienced artists require significant amounts of time, effort, and equipment just for one character. After decades of research and development, and thanks to bringing companies like 3Lateral, Cubic Motion, and Quixel into the Epic family, that barrier is being erased through Unreal Engine, and we're thrilled to introduce MetaHuman Creator." So, Kyle, you added this story here, so what do you think about all this?
You guys know me. I'm a huge cyberpunk fan, of the genre, not the game specifically.
Not the game.
You have to mention
not the game
that.
yet. I've played 20 hours, but I stopped because I'm gonna wait till it's out on PlayStation 5. But I think this stuff is so fucking cool. It's wild how good these creations look, and the fact that it's basically just like the Nintendo Mii creator, but it's these lifelike looking humans that are fully rigged for animation and stuff is wild. VTubers just got a next level boost on all of that stuff because they could use this. It's fascinating, but it's also just scary at how realistic these things are. Holy moly. They had 2 or 3 videos of these, and it's available now for whoever to check out. So I know up on YouTube and stuff, there were people posting this is what I made in the thing.
Yeah.
Come
I think
check it out.
it's still a beta. I don't think it's available for everyone. I think it's available for people that are part of some Epic or Unreal Engine thing preview program.
Gotcha.
I think it's
that would
still
make
in
sense.
preview. I think
That makes sense.
Kyle, you're right. This is such a good example of the struggles that technology and innovation has, because on the one side it's so cool, and I know it's gonna be so helpful for video games because we all know that video games are getting more and more realistic, and this is a way to help out. I know take away the load of developers. If this can cut out their development time, it's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
But on the other side, it is a bit creepy how realistic they are, and my mind immediately jumps to the nefarious things that can be done with it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I
don't have a date for Valentine's Day? Make one on Epic.
Or I don't know, you
we'll be ready in an hour.
Create a model of someone else and make them do something that they wouldn't.
Oh, yeah. You touched up on it, Ignacio. Though, yeah, we have gotten to at this point in time, we've gotten to that uncanny valley level of graphical quality. But what's interesting here, and what you mentioned, Ignacio, was that it cuts so much time now. And I think those are the kinds of improvements that we're going to start seeing now, rather than, oh, we don't have polygons now, we have these kinds of models. Well, I think we're at the peak, or or close to the peak, where it's already looking so real. But the improvements that we're going to start seeing, I think we're going to end up at some point in the future start seeing games being made in a year or less than a year, and have a game games like The Last of Us, we can, I think at some point we're going to start seeing those being made in half the time or a quarter of the time.
Sure.
And I think that's how technology is improving, so it's super interesting.
Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, think of something like The Medium. Now, it looks really good, but just imagine a smaller team like that, and getting their hands on this technology, and then they can put that in their game, and it means they can make an indie game that looks just as good, if not better, than
Yeah.
AAA stuff. Holy moly, man, that's gonna be
cool.
great.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
couple that with the demo that we got for Unreal Engine. Was it 5? 4 or 5?
Yeah, the
one
new
that we saw for the PS5.
Unreal engine, where they were like, you can like put all of these objects in like 2 seconds and do all of this.
Yeah.
And it's just like, holy moly, man!
Well,
Like
that demo that they
stuff
showed
is next gen.
Yeah. That game, that demo that they showed, I wish is a real game. That would be so cool. It just looks so awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool game. But all right, my friends, that's incredible. Good for them and good for us, of course. Let's move on.
Doing an entire podcast where we have created avatars for ourselves, and that's what we did.
And we could at some point. We could.
That'd be wild, man. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Number 4. Ubisoft is moving away from reliance on AAA releases. This is from Rebecca Valentine over at IGN.
First
Ubisoft
time saying her name for IGN. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good for her, dude. Okay, let's see here. Oh, Ubisoft doesn't want to be as reliant on AAA game releases as it has in the past, and will instead look more closely at free-to-play games and its back catalog to make money. In an earnings call today, following the company's Q3 financial results, the publisher said that its plan for fiscal year 2022, the period from April 2021 through March 2022, included 3 AAA game releases, but in the future, Ubisoft didn't want AAA games to be the focus of its business model. So we have a quote here from Frederick Duguet, the CFO. We said for a number of years that our normal template is to come with either 3 or 4 AAA games, so we'll stick to that plan for fiscal year 2022. But we see that we are progressively and continuously moving from a model that used to be only focused on AAA releases to a model where we have a combination of strong releases from AAA and strong back catalog dynamics, but also complementing our program of new releases with free-to-play and other premium experiences. So what do you think about this? Ignacio!
Oh. I'm more of a AAA gamer. I like AAA games,
AAA
but
gamer, huh? Okay.
Yeah, but I still think that Ubisoft has created this formula for AAA games where they all feel samey in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like Valhalla and Watch Dogs feel similar in a way, and those similar to previous games, and so maybe it is good for Ubisoft to maybe look more into the smaller space, because Ubisoft, while they are known for the AAA games, they also put out some good smaller games. For example, Mario plus Rabbids was a good game. I think they did Valiant Hearts, or maybe they just published it. I'm not sure.
Child of Light is another one. Yeah,
Child of Light. Yeah.
Yeah, when they experiment is those are some of their best games that they've made. Their little experiments.
And so I'm intrigued to see what they put out. The thing is that I'm not into free to play games, so that's already a problem for me. But if it's more akin to the other games that I mentioned, I'm excited to see what they put out. Especially if they keep their CFO said here that they will still keep up with the either 3 or 4 AAA games.
Yeah,
so
they're
if
still
it is on top of that. Cool.
They're still making a Star Wars game that we have to see, and they obviously have. I assume they're gonna. Indicates that I assume they're gonna stop Assassin's Creed and all their franchises eventually. No,
I don't think so. Because he said still putting up 3 or 4 AAA games on their fiscal year
for 2022.
Yeah, but I still think that Assassin's Creed is such a pillar for them.
Yeah,
that I don't see them dropping it anytime soon.
New one has been like the most successful, so they're not gonna stop that stuff. But like, I think what we might see is, because Assassin's Creed was annualized at one point, I think they might slow that down so that maybe one year it's Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six, right? And the next year it's Watch Dogs and Far Cry or Steep 3, right? You know, they might do some weird thing like that. But
they did stop analyzing them at some point.
Yeah. Right. But it might be a little bit longer before we get the new ones, right? Like it might be a 3-year cycle for those games. Who knows, right? I'm just saying, like, I don't think they're stopping them, but I think we also might see some of their franchises maybe pivot into like a smaller experience of just like, hey, how can we take Assassin's Creed and everyone's loving it, but how can we make that instead of a 120 something hour thing, how can we make that a 60 something, right? Like they might do something like that.
Yeah, it seems like they might be, which is what I've said before. It seems like they're gonna try to stick to quality over quantity now, rather than what they've been doing. So yeah, I hope they do that. But they also, I think, what is it here? They mentioned here they want to complement their new releases with free-to-play and other premium experiences. So does that mean that they're going to want to have their AAA releases, but support those in different ways, such as new modes or new multiplayer experiences with these games, such as, you know, they're going to have a Division 3 and support that for years and years, just like they've been doing with Division 2. So does this indicate that they also might have more live service games? Do you guys think?
Maybe.
I think so. Yeah. I know they're currently retooling, gosh, what was it called? Was their free-to-play battle royale? Hyperscape. It says here in the thing that there was not a single mention on the call about Hyperscape, because it's undergoing an overhaul. It didn't do so well, but I think if they can come out with something like that and then focus on something like The Division that is a live service game, or put in more stuff like that in Rainbow Six and stuff, then I think they can kind of take it slower, and they don't necessarily need to be like, we have the new hot movie blockbuster. Yeah. Right. So I don't know, but it also makes me think of like the AA space of the stuff that will be perfect for the streaming services, right? For Game Pass or for Stadia or for something
or their
like
own.
That. Yeah, or
they have their
own
or
thing.
they can make it their own.
But that would be interesting, and to be like, hey, we now have an exclusive for this streaming thing. We now have an exclusive for that streaming thing, and they just make like solid, like, hey, this is a good Ubisoft game, but it's not the next Assassin's Creed, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's good to see these big companies trying to pivot and shift the way they work, so they don't get old, you know? But all right, let's move on here, my friends, to our final news story of the week. Number 5, Cyberpunk 2077 Studios hacked data has reportedly been sold. This is from John Porter at The Verge. Last Tuesday, CD Projekt Red disclosed it had been the victim of a ransomware attack in which hackers had collected certain data from the company. It posted a ransom note from the hackers in which they claimed to have access to source code from the studio's most popular games, as well as internal legal, HR, and financial documents. CD Projekt Red said it would not give in to the demands or negotiate with the hackers, even if that meant the stolen data would begin circulating online. Hackers have reportedly sold the game source code and other information. It is not known who purchased the data or how much it was sold for. So, okay, I do want to read the ransom note because I thought it was hilarious. Where is it? Okay. Where is it?
It might not be in that thing. It's on their Twitter.
Is it not in here? Is it on? Oh yeah, it is on their Twitter. Let me go to their Twitter real quick. Kyle, you like Cyberpunk, right? You mentioned that earlier. What do
I'm a
you think
huge
about this?
Cyberpunk fan. You know me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, Kyle loves Cyberpunk.
It's kind of wild to see that this happened. It sucks that this happened
Yeah,
to
it sucks.
them. These guys have been working their ass off trying to fix this game, and then this happens to them.
okay.
Man, like these guys just cannot catch a break.
Yeah, I have it right here. The ransom note that they got sent. So it's so read me unlock. It's called. Then we have Hello City Project with exclamation points, like 20 exclamation points from each side of that. I'm reading it how it's
Word for
done.
word.
Yeah, word for word. Your have been epically pwned. We have dumped full copies of the source codes from your Perforce server for Cyberpunk 2077, Witcher 3, Gwent, and the unreleased version of Witcher 3. We have also dumped all of your documents relating to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more. Also, we have encrypted all of your servers, but we understand that you can most likely recover from backups. If we will not come to an agreement, then your source codes will be sold or leaked online, and your documents will be sent to our contacts in gaming journalism. Your public image will go down to shitter even more, and people will see how you shitty your company functions. We'll see how you shitty your company functions. Investors will lose trust in your company, and the stock will dive even lower. You have 48 hours to contact us. So, bunch of nerds, dude. That's what bunch of nerds, man.
It sucks that it happened to them, and I hope it doesn't come out the wrong way. But in a way, it was to be expected because you don't piss off nerds and don't get hacked eventually.
I mean, I've heard some people be like, "Yeah, this shouldn't have happened," but maybe at the end of the day, they brought them on themselves. I don't know if that's the best way to put that.
Yeah.
It's still really like I don't wish this on them. I don't want this to happen to other companies and stuff like that. But man, yeah, that this game is a mess, and they should have known. Like this, yeah.
It doesn't matter what you think about the game. It's still an illegal thing to do, and a very, very bad thing to do to a company to do something like that. Basically take all their things hostage in a way. But it sounds bad, but it was maybe to be expected, because again, you don't piss off nerds without getting hacked. That's what we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
It's also mentioned in the ransom note that there's an unreleased version of Witcher 3, which I'm looking at the article right now. Apparently it's a ray-traced version. So seems like a native, maybe PS5 or Series X version that they have yet to release.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. That was a thing that we knew. That there is going to be a PS5, a Series X version of the game. I don't think we know anything other than that. But we knew that there was going to be a newer version of the game. And also, somewhere I read that apparently there was some stipulation on the auction that the person couldn't publish the code. The person that bought it couldn't publish the code. It was just for them. But who knows? It's the dark web, and anything can happen there.
Yeah. Well, sucks for them.
Somebody say something about the door to darkness?
Dude,
well, make it here. Whoa, dude. Look at that.
Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, I think that about wraps us up for the news. So let's get into new and notable. Oh, come on. Things stopped halfway through. Let's try that once more. I don't know why I'm having so many problems with this. There we go. Kingdom Hearts 1.5. I'm sorry, the door to darkness thing was too funny.
Yeah, rated.
Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5, Kingdom Hearts 2.8, and Kingdom Hearts 3, and Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory are coming to PC via the Epic Game Store. And Donald still isn't gonna heal you.
There you go, PC nerds. Oh yeah, I saw your
There
tweet.
you go. You have to pay. You have to pay. I think it was 1.5 plus 2.5 is $50, and the other games are 60. Heads up, you can get 1.5 plus 2.5, 2.8, and 3 right now on the PS4 for I think $25.
Wow. Look at that.
God, man.
Yeah.
Suckers.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's new. That is notable. But moving on, Crash Bandicoot 4 is coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S, as well as the Nintendo Switch on March 12th, 2021, and a PC version will land later on in the year.
Okay, I have to say something about this. Alan tweeted about this, and he said he was going to play it again. What an absolute diabolical maniac that guy is.
Yeah. Well, the good thing for him is that I think the trophies will pop for him if he has a save.
Probably.
For the other.
Oh,
so he won't have to go through it all over again.
Oh, can you imagine? Would you think he would if he had to?
Yeah.
Nah.
Have you seen have you seen how he plays games? That man has an urge to complete games.
Yeah, for the trophies.
Good for him, though, because that's not. I don't have that same.
He's a real trophy hunter.
Yeah.
A real trophy hunter. Well, good for him.
Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart is coming June 11th, 2021. We finally have a release date for that one.
Man, that launch window keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Right? Yeah, that is not launch window if you ask me, but June 11th. I'm excited for that one. That's going to be a good game. Speaking of Ratchet and Clank, though, a Ratchet and Clank animated special entitled Ratchet and Clank: Life of Pi is now airing in Canada. This seemingly appeared out of nowhere and appears to be somewhat of a prequel to the upcoming game, or at least has similar themes. It just appeared and was just like, oh, we didn't even know anyone was working on this.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. Never heard of it.
Also, shout out to the name Life of Pi, because of course it's a parody of the movie Life of Pi, but this is a pie as in what you eat.
Yeah.
Instead of the movie, which is P.I., I think.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is based on a book that I had to read in school that I didn't like, but cool.
Man, read. What are you, a nerd?
Yeah, right.
This is awesome, though. I think this is gonna be the second PS5 only game that we're gonna be getting. I mean, or third.
No, is it Returnal?
Returnal,
or the House Mark.
Returnal's
is
also
in April, I think, right?
But that's a PS5 exclusive. So I think this would be, based off of what we know, this would be the third.
Also,
PS5.
wasn't Kena supposed to come out in March?
Yeah, I think that's also for PS4 though.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Kena's also for PS4. Oh, well, I mean, we have Destruction All Stars as well, which is native.
Yeah, that's also.
But yeah, it's exciting to get more just native PS5 games.
Also, Godfall, I think.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Whatever that came out of
PC.
We really like those ones. Next up, Borderlands 3 Director's Cut is coming March 18th as part of the Season 2 Pass. Season Pass 2.
Why did you read that Season 2 Pass?
My
just makes more sense.
Brain was just like, that's what it is. There you go. No, as part of Season Pass 2, and it will add on a new set of murder mystery missions and 3 new vault cars. There you go, if you guys are Borderlands fans. Let's see. The developers of The Division 2 have confirmed that there will be additional content coming to the game this year due to the support from the players. They had
did you start playing
announced
this again, Kyle?
I haven't yet. I don't know if I will. I haven't beat the New York one. I got all the way through the thing to the final boss, and I couldn't do it. And I
think I'm gonna download it right now.
Multiple times, and even with help, we couldn't do it. We just couldn't beat this thing. And I was just like, I hate this game, which I don't. But but they had said like a certain update was going to be the last one that they do. And then they were just like, psych, we got more coming down the road because you guys keep playing this.
My bad.
Good for them. Good for fans of the Division, because they also, was it last week that we got the PS5 version of the game, or the PS5 enhanced version of the game, and also a patch for 60 frames per second. And also we saw the Resident Evil crossover.
Yep.
Yeah.
That game is still going strong. And I am feeling the urge to jump back in because I really like that game. That game was fun.
Me too, yeah.
I would, but I didn't actually enjoy the game much.
Ignacio, AAA gamer over here.
Loser.
Nerd.
That's a AAA game.
Fake.
I didn't like how repetitive it was.
Star Wars Republic Commando from back in 2006 is coming to the Switch soon, according to Switch eShop data miner NW Player 123, and was later confirmed by the developer Aspyr, I believe is how you say that name. Aspyr is one of the companies that Embracer Group bought up this past week.
Yes, it is.
And so people have been speculating maybe they're working on a Star Wars game and stuff like that. So who knows? We'll see.
Have either of you played Republic Commando?
I have not. They said it was like a tactical shooter, I think.
It looks like it's a first-person shooter where you play as a clone, I think.
Yeah, in the Clone Wars.
Cool.
It looks cool.
I've heard good things, so keep an eye out on that one. Some more Star Wars down the road. Last but not least, for new and notable, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is coming to theaters April 8th, 2022.
Nice.
Still haven't seen the first one.
Sonic,
neither have I.
Best movie of 2020.
Yeah.
Well,
it was the only one that came out.
That.
Come on, which one was better, huh? Call? Huh? Bad Boys for Life, maybe.
Oh, that was a good one.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Well, that wraps us up for the new and notable section. So let's hope this next jingle has no problems, and let's get on to the lightning round.
Nice.
Worked.
The Nemesis system has been patented, which is why we have never seen it in any other games.
Wow.
Can't explain it. Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
so I just want to give a quick shout out that this news came out like a week or two ago, and a couple people picked up on it, but not much. Like it just kind of flew under the radar for most people. It was revealed in a YouTube video by Game Maker's Toolkit, which if you are not following them and you are a big video game fan, do yourself a favor and fix that. They have a wonderful channel. So go check out their stuff because it is incredible. But that's why we haven't seen it.
The Nemesis system was a very cool system that I think it would have been nice to see it in other games. Moving on.
You can see it in more WB stuff, but
sure, yeah. It would be nice to see it in a game like Batman, for example.
Yeah.
Moving on. EA is evaluating whether or not they want to keep Anthem alive. News on its fate will most likely be coming next week.
I hope they decide to keep it alive.
Yeah, they are supposedly working on.
No, you don't think so, Kyle?
Bringing it back.
No.
I want to see what they can do.
I enjoyed this game. I genuinely did. I thought it was fun to play. And this had one of those issues where this game showed very well, but ended up being very bad. But it really was cool to be what is it? They called them javelins. It really was cool to fly around and land and start shooting people and then fly in the air while you're shooting people. And it was a really fun game to play, but it just didn't feel like a game yet at that point when it was released. It didn't feel like it was. It felt like it was some sort of alpha to a game that where that is not ready at all at any point. So hopefully with everything they've been saying that they've been doing, because we have gotten updates on it, hopefully they do decide to stick to it. But also at the same time, it looks like they're just trying to copy Destiny, and you can't copy Destiny because Destiny is its own thing. So I hope they make a name for themselves in a way, but I guess we'll see.
Hopefully they can make it a game now.
Yeah.
Next up, Sony has patented a back buttons attachment for the DualSense. This would be similar to the back buttons attachment that we saw for the DualShock 4, I think 2 years ago was when it came out. Cool for people that use it. I don't necessarily would find any use for it, but I know a lot of people, especially those who play first-person shooter, probably will find some use for it.
Yep.
Riot CEO and developer of League of Legends, Nicolo Laurent, is being sued for sexual harassment and wrongful termination by former assistant Sharon O'Donnell.
More lawsuits for Riot.
More lawsuits indeed. Ubisoft is thinking about renaming Rainbow Six Quarantine. Says the game will arrive this year. They're thinking about it.
That brings around to the topic of 6 Days of Fallujah again. Why does the game have to change its name when there's literally a movie based on coronavirus, dude?
You can make a movie out of anything, but you mentioned a movie. I don't know if that people are receiving it well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people are receiving it well, but I don't know, because it's interesting. Like,
it's to me, it's the name. Like, the name is just like, ooh, too soon, bro. Whereas, like, Songbird, I think you said was the name of the movie. I don't know what that means, but that doesn't necessarily scream coronavirus to me. Whereas contextualized in the year 2020 and 2021, Rainbow Six Quarantine is just like, ugh, maybe in bad taste. It's a fine name. Like any other year, it's just this, like, maybe not this year, you know?
Look, I don't have a problem with quarantine. Maybe you guys don't have a problem with quarantine. I doubt anyone would, I don't know, have a real problem with it. But I think the thing with it is that I don't think anyone would get any bad reaction from the name quarantine. But it's one of those things where it's good, bad visuals, and because of that, people would have a bad reaction with it. So I think that while it wouldn't make logical sense to be really mad about the name quarantine, it doesn't matter. People will be against the name.
Yeah.
So it would be for the best for them to change it. I don't know why they haven't changed it yet, and they are still thinking about it.
They're gonna change it to Rainbow Six, SARS-CoV-19 coronavirus pandemic.
Exactly. Yeah.
No.
Next up, Pokemon Go developer creates Black Developers Initiative to fund and support games.
Cool. Good for them.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Jack Black joined the Borderlands movie as Stannis and Claptrap, respectively.
Nice.
Man, so much talent keeps getting added into the movie.
Yeah, it's just
It's a pretty star-studded cast,
Yeah, it is.
Kate Blanchett, I think, was also in the movie.
Kate Blanchett is Lilith.
The other guy whose name I'm blanking on is also in the movie. Eli Roth.
Kevin Hart.
Oh yeah,
Kevin Hart also.
Eli Roth is directing,
giving off major Jumanji vibes in my eyes now, especially with Jack Black joining.
And if they add The Rock as what's the big brick? They're gonna die. They gotta do it. Oh man.
They gotta do it. Yeah. And finally, Game of Thrones, Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal cast as Ellie and Joel respectively in the upcoming HBO The Last of Us series.
I wanted to put this in the news, but it's a good thing to end on. This is the last one,
I think that's one, that's the news, and two, it's also it's TV news.
Yeah.
I never seen Game of Thrones. I don't know anything about Bella Ramsey, but fuck yeah, Pedro Pascal is on the show.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, both Game of Thrones
from-
co-stars as well. So Bella
From
Ramsey
being a dad that maybe shouldn't be a dad in space to being a dad that maybe shouldn't be a dad in the zombie apocalypse.
Another escort mission for Pedro.
That's funny how he's created like
him, man.
this different kind of persona for him specifically. Now he's gonna be like the reluctant dad figure always now. But Ignacio, Bella Ramsey in Game of Thrones, she's like this badass little girl that rules over her own little kingdom, and like she puts men in their place, dude, and it's so cool.
Good for her.
So it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see how she's gonna portray Ellie. It's gonna be super fun.
And I think Pedro can do something really good with the role of Joel.
Yeah,
and also it's nice to see a Chilean up there on the show.
Yeah, it's and then we also get Oscar Isaac as Solid Snake. Was that ever confirmed?
Yeah, was it confirmed or was it?
I don't know if it's been confirmed because I don't know if they've actually like really like the.
No, we know that the movie
Metal
is
Gear
coming
Solid
from.
movie.
Yeah,
has been kind of in limbo for years.
I think what it is the director said Oscar Isaac, wanted Oscar Isaac to be Snake. Yeah.
Deadline,
which is awesome.
For 2020 says Oscar Isaac to star as Solid Snake in Sony's Metal Gear Solid movie.
There you freaking go, dude. And he's Guatemalan, right? He's Guatemalan, I think. So there you go. Two Latino kings, dude. Playing
Good for them, man.
Two of our most favorite characters.
I think Pedro can do something really good with the role.
Yeah, no, he's an incredible actor. So I'm excited to see what he does with Joel. Because I wonder, because Joel is more of he has like a southern accent, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if Pedro's gonna do that, or if he's gonna have his own.
I kind of hope he doesn't.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't either.
He played a Texan in Kingsman 2.
Oh,
okay, yeah, and I think even in Wonder Woman, I feel like he kind of had more of an American accent than his Finnish one.
Yeah,
well, that's because he has lived there most of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He left Chile pretty young.
Okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. I was super excited to see who they casted as Joel and Ellie, and I'm happy with what they did. I'm happy with who they casted. Very interesting.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff indeed. Okay. Well, that about wraps us up for all the news that's fit to print in your ear holes. What are you guys excited for this next week? What's going on in your lives? Gino, let's start with you.
Let's see here. What do we have? It is February 13th as of the time we're recording this. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. I guess I'm excited for Valentine's Day. Gonna do something that day. I'm excited to go into Little Nightmares 2 some more. And I really want you to play this, Kyle. You gotta play this. You gotta play.
Do it, Kyle.
Like, do it. Buy and start playing it tonight. Do it. Do it.
Because I might stream it tomorrow. I streamed the first 3 episodes of 3 out of 10. I actually streamed all 5 of them, but the last 2 didn't really stream all that well. It was like real robotic and stuff. But I've always been too timid and scared to stream, and I did it on those things, and I was just like, you know what, this isn't so bad. So I might start doing Sunday nights or something.
Yeah, here we go. Let's do it for Wednesday. You stream Little Nightmares 2. I'll hang out there with you.
Nice.
Okay, sure.
I'll probably have beaten it already, but that's what I'm excited for this week. I'm just gonna beat that.
That's fine.
You know, Kyle, after that, Resident Evil 3. You still have that.
Oh, you haven't played the 3 remake? Oh, yeah. That's the one that got me into it.
Kyle, and after that, Outlast.
No.
No,
That's too much. That's too much.
We are drawing the line at Little Nightmares 2.
No, 3 remake you could do. I did that one, so you should be able to do it.
I took my time.
Who knows how long it will take?
There's zombies in the building, man. I had to make sure I got them all so they wouldn't come chasing me.
Oh, man.
Took me 3 days to beat side A and 2 days to beat side B.
Whoa, dude. Good
Kyle,
for
come
you.
on.
Gamer Ignacio.
Great gamer, man.
God damn.
Ignacio, what are you excited for this week?
Nothing.
Wow.
Oh, he left the
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Wow.
That's okay, man.
Hurt me
sometimes,
so.
Kyle, what about you?
sometimes we're not, Sometimes we're not.
Yeah.
Find something
Kyle?
to be excited about, man. I'm excited to. Well, I don't know if excited is the right word for the medium, but now that you guys are making me play Little Nightmares 2, I'm excited about that.
Yes.
I think that should be fun.
I'm
Be a
excited.
good time
Definitely. That'll be
on
fun.
Wednesday.
And after that, Outlast 2.
God, no.
Nope.
I haven't played the first one.
Play Outlast 1 then.
I don't want to play the first one.
Do it, coward. Do it.
I am a coward. So what? I'll own it.
That's why I'm not playing it.
Yeah, so go check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/the Whatnauts. On Wednesdays, we will be streaming video games there every Wednesday. Maybe some bonus streams every now and then. Who knows? I might hop on and do something, You never know.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, be on the lookout for all of that stuff. Go like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal with all of that stuff. Sell your soul, tell a friend, tell a foe, do whatever you need to do to help spread
Buy
the word.
Merch.
Yeah, yes.
Man, we have to
some
promote
merch.
that more. We have to promote that.
Buy some merch. We have a store. You guys can go buy a shirt. I have one on right now, which you guys cannot see, but it has our logo on its shirt, and I think it looks nice. And I should have some more shirts up in the near future. I'm working on some. I don't know when they'll be done, but in the near future, there will be some more on there. You guys can find all of that stuff at thewhatnauts.com/store.
Mm-hmm.
What else do I need to plug right now? Go leave a kind review if you guys like what we do here. The Whatnauts has been around for over 5 years now, but Crossplay is still fairly new. But if you guys like what we do here, we could use some kind words and good reviews. That would help us out a lot to get the show out in front of more people. Gino,
Yes.
where can they find you on the interwebs?
You guys can find me over at Gino_Viteri on Twitter, and that is where you will find all my other social links.
There you go. Ignacio, what about you, my friend?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at Ignacio Rojas B. That's IGNACIOROJASB.
Go. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want to stay up to date with all of our shows, we are at The Whatnauts on Twitter. There you go. Go do all of that stuff. That wraps us up, though, for Crossplay episode. We don't even really say these nowadays. This is episode 58. Getting up there, man. 58. But that does it for us this week. We will be back next week. Enjoy your week. Goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.